Yeah. B.O.D.
Look, tracked by real boy for the B.O.D. Spit by the fit, OGCOD. Open up your ears, cause we the key. Man, you ready for change? Yo, we gon' see. Making strong men who gon' take the weight. Each one teach one, learn from my mistakes. I'm talking De La Soul, cause these is high stakes. You moving too fast, youngin', apply the brakes. You need to evaluate the friends you got. Tighten up and slide like a Wednesday night. Learn a lesson, don't matter if you win or not. I got friends that's in the box that lost trying to win the block. They say the revolution won't be televised. How about a podcast with two intelligent guys? Don't stress your competitive size. The bigger the blessing, the wetter the eyes. Everything in due season to create a new world to y'all a few evenings. And we won't stop until we're all eating. Organized. Welcome to the board meeting.
The Renaissance Boys are back in the building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Once again, it is on. We are the board of directors, and this is the board meeting. Make sure you check us out online at bodspeaks.com. I'm Gerard, and it's my pleasure to ask the most dangerous question in all of the podcast world. Mike, what's happening, man?
Hey, dog, how you gonna come in last place and still talk trash? Come on, son. Come on, son. Come on.
I'm surprised that you are of that mindset that will ask that question, because you talk trash all the time, no matter what.
Very true.
Yes.
Very true.
Yes.
Very true. Very true. However, if I got smoked, I'll walk myself right off that field because there wasn't nothing I can say because I just got smoked.
Butt naked last.
Butt naked last. Not even close, dog.
Not even in the vicinity of the people who finished first, second, and third.
Yeah, that's so crazy, dog. That's so crazy.
And you know, I think one of the first things we learn when we run track that a half a second is a long time.
It's a long time.
A half a second is a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
She got dusted.
Got smoked. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like the time she crossed the finish line from the first person who finished, like the time really not that big of a difference.
No.
But when you see it,
yes.
oh, you're like, you got blown out, dog. You got blown out.
And like she wasn't even close to the people who, like, to the person who came in eighth. Like she came in ninth, and the person in eighth was at least 2 strides ahead of her.
No, like she was running as fast as she can, but she still was jogging. I think I heard Bomani say it best. He said it took her 11 seconds to run a 10-second race.
Oh man! And like we said, that and you could say that, and somebody who does not run track will be like, well, 1 second ain't that bad. 1 second looks like you are only halfway done with the race when everybody else finished.
Yes.
1 second is a huge gap.
Yeah, that's a huge gap, dog. Yeah, she got blood. Yeah, but they come up there and start talking trash, like unsolicited too. Like, wasn't nobody asking you, talking to you about no haters? Like, they were just congratulating you, saying, "Yeah, welcome back, welcome back." You ain't been running in a month. You ain't on top of your game like you used to be. Yeah, well, these girls, they just came from the Olympics. They still in track mode.
It seemed to me Sha'Carri was in her own head a little bit.
Oh, she was definitely.
Yeah,
she had to be. That's probably why she didn't perform it as well as she normally would.
Yeah, because that pressure, because everybody wanted to see what she would do when she came back, and she was racing against the same women who finished first, second, and third in the Olympics.
Yep.
And everybody was all disappointed. Okay, she wasn't there, and and what it could have been or what it should have been if she was actually there. That's right. And now she's got the opportunity to race, and ninth.
Ooh. I say what didn't help, that false start didn't help at all. But everybody got the false start. But she wasn't in game mode like everybody else was.
Yeah.
So that false start is going to affect her a little different than everybody else who's accustomed to the starting gun going off again. She ain't been accustomed to it in a month. So yeah.
And honestly, man, if it wasn't for the fact that she was disqualified from the Olympics, there might not have been that much hype around her. But when the hype began to get, revved up and everybody was thinking about what could have been or what possibly would have happened if she was in the Olympics, bruh, she could have very well gone to the Olympics and not qualified for the final heat.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. She could have not qualified.
Exactly. And then it would have been like, what we talking about here?
Yeah, exactly. She all these Nike commercials making all this money. What was it? Was it Dan and Dave?
Oh yeah, back in the day of the Reebok joint.
The Reebok, yeah. Dan
one of them didn't even make the Olympics.
Didn't even make the Olympics.
I can't remember which one it was, but yeah.
It had to be a good 2 or 3 month campaign with that dude.
Oh yeah.
2 Americans going to the Olympics in the
decathlon. Decathlon.
Yeah. And one of them didn't even make the team. The other one didn't even place.
Hey man, and that Olympic advertising and marketing, that's a gamble if I ever seen one in my life, bruh.
It definitely is.
Because you out there pumping somebody up who might not even qualify for the final, who might not even make the Olympic team. You put all this money in your marketing, and that person on the couch watching it just like everybody else.
Hey, dog, who was more locked in and guaranteed than Simone Biles?
Real talk.
You know what I'm saying? That was like, boom. She ain't lost in 70 years. She doing stuff that nobody else on the planet can do. Oh, this is a lock.
Not so much. Oh man. Yeah. Hey, listen, man. That's a gamble for sure. Most of the time, people get advertisements, they get marketing based on what they've already done, not what they have the potential to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro, that's a gamble. Like, like Giannis wins the championship and all the commercials and stuff that's about to come his way, all the endorsement opportunities, he about to get flooded with it. Would he have had some before? Probably. Will they increase now that he won the chip? Definitely.
Yep.
But imagine if they were hyping. You know what it reminds me of? When Nike did that campaign with the puppets and it was Kobe and LeBron.
Oh yeah, I do.
But LeBron didn't make the finals.
Yep.
That's what it reminded me of. It's like, when you do something like that, man, no matter even if the person that you propping up is one of the greatest ever, there's still a possibility. Like, you still got to go out there and play the games. You still got to run the races, and it's a possibility that person that you propping up, they might not make it.
Still got to perform, dog.
And you done spend all that money for an outcome that ain't gonna happen.
Dog, think about this weekend. Pacquiao fought a replacement that was going to be with Spence. Ugas.
Mm-hmm.
Ugas won.
Yep. Now Pacquiao talking that retirement talk.
Pacquiao was a guaranteed win according to everybody on the planet. There was a few people who was predicting Ugas would give him some issues. They say he would give him some issues because he was long. He was a Cuban boxer. But, Pacquiao done seen everything. He was going to figure it out. No, he didn't. No, he didn't figure out. No, he didn't figure out. He's 42 years old. That's what he could figure out. How'd I get that speed back? You don't.
You don't. You don't.
How you get that quickness back? You don't.
And bro, that's got to be frustrating for your mind to still be functioning and sharp, but your body just don't have the response time that it used to.
Yep. Yeah, you can see a punch coming. Oh, I get out of the way of that. And then you go to move.
Nothing about it.
And you still eat it. Like, oh no, what just happened here, dog?
You can be well conditioned. You can be in shape. Your breathing game could be on point. Whatever. But you still got to go out there and execute.
You still got to execute. I'm telling you, like, being big and strong, it's way more to it than just being big and strong, dog.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot more to it.
Hey, bro. I've seen a couple fights in my day, both sanctioned and unsanctioned. Don't always put your money on the guy who's bigger.
Oh yes, I've seen some and I've participated in a few as well.
I figured you have. My fighting days is long behind me.
Yes. Yeah, and don't put your money on the bigger person because the bigger person might not have that dog in him, dog.
Nope. Hey,
No matter,
we
no matter how
all
big that
know,
barber is.
we all know when you go and play that pickup basketball game, that one tall dude, sometimes they just tall for nothing.
That's it. He
Just tall for nothing.
He just tall. Yeah, he might be hot garbage.
Oh, it probably is hot garbage. Because everybody just assume he can ball.
Yeah,
Not exactly.
not exactly. Yeah, if I see somebody at the court, man, like when I used to go ball and then play pickup ball, like the first thing I would do, I would call next and see how far down I was. If I was like 2 or 3 games down, that was perfect for me because that gave me an opportunity to scout everybody. I'm looking at all the tall people like, can he hoop? Because I'm looking at seeing who I can throw an alley to. Can I throw him an alley? Like, that's all I'm caring. Can I throw him an alley? If I can throw him an alley, he on my team because he going to get one before the game over with.
Right.
And then you watching, and then you're like, oh, big dude, like he might be nice. And then he get the ball in his hand. You're like, oh, I ain't
And then
picking
trip
him
over
up.
his own feet.
I ain't picking him up. False advertisement.
You know what else that reminds me of? If you ever move to a new city and you got to find a barber,
Oh, ooh, yes, sir. Yes,
you're like,
sir.
you need a cut? Nah, I'm just looking.
That's it. I'm just here checking that out.
I need to see who can and who can't.
Yeah, and so for the young guys out here who are checking us out for the first time, or always listen. If you move into a different city, like don't go to the barber's website and look at his pictures of what he cut. Those may not actually be the people he cut.
Exactly.
Go into the shop and sit there and watch him cut not one head, at least 2.
Or if you introverted like me, you see somebody with a nice haircut, you ask them what barbershop to go to and who cut the hair in that shop. And then when you get there, hopefully somebody's in front of you and you can see what's going on.
That's right. Yeah, because you may go in there and be like,
Yeah.
I don't think I want to go to that barber.
Hey, bruh, you know me.
Yes.
You know my requirements back when I actually used to make use of a barbershop. Nowadays, not so much. But I remember when I first got to Columbia, somebody put me on to a barbershop. And let's just say I'm used to a more refined establishment. And this barbershop looked as though some individuals that might be coming through there that, engaged in certain activities that may not have been completely legal.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I feel that.
So, yeah. And then plus, dude pressed way too hard with that the edge up clippers and,
Okay.
He'll scar your hairline and be like, nope, this is a one-shot deal right here, buddy. Never again. Never again.
You will not see this head again, sir.
Nope. Here's what I owe you. Good day, sir.
Yeah. So have you ever been in a barbershop and it's like, I'm not coming back to this barber again, but then you return to the same barbershop just to go to a different barber?
No. Come on now. You know me. I'm anti-conflict. I don't want no beef. I don't want no smoke with nobody. Okay. If you got beef with me, please believe it is one-sided because I'm doing everything to avoid it. Nah, man, bruh. I mean, I'm pretty sure you probably have done something like that. I couldn't.
No, I haven't done anything like that.
Yeah, no, okay.
No, I haven't done anything like that. But my barber be spilling the beans to me about everything in the barbershop. And he be telling me, I'm like, hey, man, see that dude right there in that chair? That used to be such and such client. He tell me all the time. Tell the time. Like, it's commonplace for dudes like this to switch barbers within the barbershop. I'm just like, man, I don't see how you do it, though.
No, listen. I couldn't do it, man.
I ain't made for that.
When I would leave a barber, I would literally ghost them. Like, one day I'm in your chair, and then the next thing you know, you never see me again in your life. Like, no warning, no heads up. Like, if I don't run into you in the street, you will never see me again. Now, I've done that in the same city. Like, there's barbers in Columbia that I've been to more than once. And then after a while, it was just like, I deserve better. I'm going somewhere else.
I'm straight. I can't do this.
And then just be like, man, goodness, come on, man. Come on. But yeah.
Yeah, I've never done it, but yeah. But I wouldn't do it because I'm too vain when it comes to my haircuts. And I would be sitting there thinking, like, if I'm laid back in the chair, the other barber would come up and say something to the other barber or do something crazy just to mess up my tape line.
I don't know, man. If you're going to leave your barber for another barber in the same shop, as hard as it is, that might be worthy of a conversation. You might have to actually have a talk.
That's grimy, dog. Like, I wouldn't trust you in a relationship with like my sister or something. Like, you grimy, dog.
But even if we have a conversation about it, okay, so look, I understand, and this is a critical point. There's only so many times you're gonna give somebody an opportunity to mess up your haircut, because the relationship between a black man and his barber is like a Catholic and their priest. Like,
yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Like,
it's sacred. It's sacred.
It is
sacred.
Absolutely sacred. So if you mess me up, you know what I'm saying? If you push my corner back too far, then we can have a conversation about it. We can talk about it. But once it becomes a repeated thing, a consistent offense, then I've got to take steps to ensure that it no longer happens. And that may include, like we say at work, up to leaving it for somebody else.
Up to.
Certain things that happen at work. You can be punished up to termination. Yeah, this is punishable up to me finding another barber.
Yeah, so this reminds me, then we can move on to the next segment because
right.
we about to go in already. But this reminds, so when I was coming along, I was in hadn't been middle school, and the shop I was going to, I wouldn't necessarily say I would bounce around from barber to barber, but if my barber, who I normally go to, wasn't there, it was the backup I would go to get my hair cut.
Right.
So this lady moved into the shop, and she was cutting. And every time I would come in there, like I'm going to my barber still, I would look over there. I'm like, I could have been gone, but I could have been at the house because she could have cut my hair. Because she was getting clients here and there, but it wasn't really big. And then I would look at them like, her cut ain't all that. So I went in there one day, and my barber wasn't there, and my backup was there, but he had a lot of people, and I was like, I'm gonna give her a shot. And dog, it was one of the best haircut experiences I've ever had. She was cutting my hair, and she was intentionally leaning on me.
Let's see where you're going.
Yeah, so she was like the experience was amazing, right? And she would come around, she was doing my tape line, and she was intentionally leaning on me. And she smelled like a woman. I was like, oh man, I said, oh man, how can I not come back to her? Then she showed me the mirror.
see when you said it was a good experience, I'm thinking beyond the experience. I'm thinking the actual haircut, the way she cared for you, and the haircut. See, like I said, I see where you're going.
Yeah, it was just the experience. The experience was immaculate. That was the best haircut experience I ever had. Yeah. And when she showed me the mirror, dog, I was like, I ain't coming back now. I was like, yeah. I said, yeah, you got me. Yeah, you got me.
Yeah, haircut experience was about everything except for the haircut.
Yeah. When I said you got me, she thought I meant she got me like it was good. I'm like, no, you got me like it's a bad haircut.
I knew you want to move on, but let me ask you this, man. What are you really supposed to do when they hand you that mirror and your joint look all jacked up? Like, what are you supposed to do? Like,
tell them.
What? They can't put the hair back on, Mike.
No, they can't. They can't put it back on.
If one corner is sitting like halfway back your head and the other one is sitting down in your temple.
You don't have to pay for your service if you're unsatisfied with what it gave you.
Well, listen, okay. This is probably a very poor example. But this is the first thing that comes to my mind. So I feel like if I put the disclaimer out there, that's going to make it better. That's like a loved one being taken from you. And then the person who was responsible being arrested. It don't bring your loved one back.
No, it don't.
So, yeah, okay, you can hand me the mirror and it'd be like, nah, this ain't it, chief.
What you gonna do about it?
and they'd be like, okay, fine, don't pay. It don't bring my hair back.
Well, it will in like 2 weeks.
But in the meantime, it's like the thing about black hair is that our hairstyles are traditionally short for the most part. When you go, if you're going to a barbershop, you're probably not getting a longer hairstyle. You're getting something that's short.
Yes.
So yeah, you can come back in 2 weeks and it'll look like nothing ever happened. But in the meantime, them 2 weeks, it is blatantly clear that your haircut was jacked up.
Showed up.
You got to live with that for 2 weeks. So it's not just, oh man, it's messed up. It's a little bit shorter than I wanted to be, but you know, nobody can really tell. Nah, everybody's going to notice. So like your only solution is shave it or just live in it.
You know, Rocky, get you some derby hats and wear them everywhere you go for a bit.
Right.
Try to hide that bit.
And if you're in school, you know they ain't gonna let that fly because you can't wear your hat indoors.
You can't wear your hat. As soon as you hit that door, hat off, please. Everywhere you go, it's like that though.
Yeah.
You just don't wear a hat inside the building as a gentleman.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. I shave my head at work. I be at my desk with a skull cap on, because you know they keep it like 64 degrees in there, man. And I just be sitting there like, come on, man.
Blowing.
Cold.
Blowing. Yeah, and I got a vent like right above my head too.
Yeah. Well, you got hair though.
Well, you know, I mean, it's still cold in there, dog.
Yeah, it is, but bro, it's a different level of cold. Like
where you can feel it directly.
Yes. Like I'll be in bed at night and the AC get a little bit too low, and I just have to take the other pillow and put it on top of my head because my head be cold, man.
You need to take your beard rag off and put it on your head like a do rag. Keep it warm.
Hey man, for real, like a knit cap or something. I might just have to start rocking a do rag to bed, even though I ain't got no waves or nothing, man. Just something to keep my head warm at night.
Yeah, just for the warmth aspect of it.
Oh man. All right, so you want to go ahead, man, and move on to this next segment. Let's go ahead and let's do one good question real quick. All right. And once again, I do not recall who went first last time or whatever. So I'm gonna just go ahead and ask you my question.
Okay, sounds good. I think I went first last time anyway. So
and then it works out. All right. So you grew up in the church. I grew up in the church. Very active.
Yes.
Do you remember anything that you prayed for when you were a child? And if so, what was it?
I don't
Nothing.
remember anything I prayed for as a child. And the reason why is when I was a child, I was only given particular prayers to pray.
Okay.
I was never really taught how to pray properly on my own outside of those templates of prayer. Mm-hmm. So anytime there was prayer being given, I would participate, but only as a listener, never as a person giving the prayer. Something I switched up when I got older and I started having children. I would actively, in amongst the family, say, "Hey, Michael, you say the prayer." And of course, he would stumble and bumble and not really be clear and crisp with it, but he needed to practice. Mm-hmm. And then after we finished the prayer, we would talk about, say, "Oh man, so when you're saying prayers, X, Y, Z, think about this, think about this, think about this." And I'm not telling him exactly what to say or think, but just giving him an outline and guide, saying like, these are the things you should be thinking about and contemplating on before you go to the Lord. So long to wrap up the answer in a long way. To wrap it up. I don't remember anything I prayed for as a child.
Okay. So when you said basically the templates you were given, so that was like, I guess what, like Lord's Prayer?
The Lord's Prayer, your bedtime prayer. Now,
okay, yeah.
Like those type prayers.
Grace.
Yeah.
God is great, God is good. Let us think of for our food.
For the food, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like those type prayers, yeah. And the perfect time to have your child like do prayer is definitely like Sunday morning breakfast, mm-hmm. or whatever. That's the perfect time to do it. Everybody kind of in the mindset of thinking, well, I know here, in me and my house, everybody in the mindset of thinking it's Sunday morning, it's time to show reverence to the Lord. Everybody already kind of in that mindset of thankfulness and gratefulness. So saying a prayer is something that you just do. Mm-hmm. So allowing the children to lead the prayer, even if they say a prayer and then you say one behind them, it gives them an example and it gives them the opportunity to actually practice something, because you don't get good at anything unless you practice.
Yeah. Unless you go through it. Have you ever heard of the ACTS method of prayer? ACTS?
No, what's that?
Is the A stands for adoration, C for confession, T for thanksgiving, and S for supplication.
Okay.
So basically, you know,
it's like a template then.
Yeah, you follow, you show your thankfulness, you honestly deal with your sins, you verbalize what you're grateful for, and then pray for your own needs and what other people need as well. So that's supplication. So
okay,
because you talk about being, teaching them how to pray, and then they kind of stumble and find their way. But if you include those things, then no matter what it is you say, as long as they can fall in those categories, then you're kind of including all the necessary components of prayer.
Yeah. And another thing I did, I told them, make sure you personalize your prayer. Like what you hear in church in large areas, like that's not how you go pray to God. That's not a personal prayer. That's them praying to the church. And some of it is entertainment too. They try.
It's definitely for demonstration purposes or entertainment, so to speak.
They trying to see if they can be the one to get the spirit going in that church.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of that. That pomp and circumstance you take out of it. And I tell them you keep it real personal. Like what's going on in your life, in your heart, in your mind. That's what you talk to God about.
Mm-hmm. Be conversational to a degree.
Yeah, those are the things you need to be concerned about. Like ask God to help you with this particular thing that you got going on. Like keep it personal. That's how you keep it honest and real. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be drawn out.
Yeah. No.
Sometimes we as black folks like to say, we hear about something going on in somebody's life and we're like, I'm praying for you. That was the prayer a lot of times. That was it.
That was it.
That was it. That was the prayer they said for you. But I try not to, whenever I say that, I really try to make an honest effort not to be like, that be it. Like in that moment, before I even make the statement, just, a simple phrase, Lord, please provide so and so what it is, what they need to help them through whatever it is they're going through, blah blah blah, and that could be enough right there in that moment.
Yep, I do the same thing. As soon as I say, I'm praying for you, or we praying for you, I go ahead and stop right there and take 20 seconds, 30 seconds.
Yep.
To get that prayer off. Yeah, because it's important, man. I think it's important. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, you do it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to know that you did it.
Yeah, but at the same time, we want to be men of our word. So
yeah, absolutely.
If we say we praying for you, then we need to actually pray for you.
You actually pray for you, yeah. And not to say we're going to.
Exactly.
Actually do.
We say things a lot of times that there be empty statements to say, because we feel it's the appropriate thing to say, but we never actually follow through. And like people will say, you have a death in the family, but like, man, if there's anything you need. Like knowing full well that the person is grieving is not gonna be like, well, honestly, man, my sink been dripping for the last 3 weeks. If you can come on over here and see if you can tighten that up for me, I'd appreciate it. Because if somebody actually did say that, you'd be sitting there stuck, be like, oh,
yeah,
okay, yeah, let me look at my schedule and see when I can get over there and check that out for you.
Yeah, see when I never come to fix your sink. I was gonna come visit you, but now I ain't coming.
Yeah, because now I owe you something. But
exactly.
But real talk, you don't offer those kind of phrases if you don't have any intention of actually following through. Whether it's if there's anything I can do for you, or I'm praying for you, or whatever have you. If you say it, mean it, and be ready to follow through on it.
That's it. Yeah, these social constructs of the saying things just to be nice. Nah, man, be genuine. If you don't mean you're gonna do it, don't say it. If there's anything you can do, just say, man, my condolences. I'm sorry.
Or if you want to do something, offer something specific. But like, man, let me come over and cook a meal for you and your family this week.
Something like that.
Because if you offer it, it should be, in theory, easy for you to actually follow through and do it. But when you offer,
something you plan on doing.
Yeah, exactly. But when you offer up, if there's anything I can do, you've left yourself wide open for everything.
Everything. Because you can they ain't had no insurance. Can you help out with the funeral costs?
Exactly. Can you bring me off a couple bands real quick so we can put grandma underground and watch people start stuttering?
Yeah, real quick.
Hey,
real quick.
so yeah, man, you gonna talk about it? Be about it.
For sure. All right, so it's my question time.
All right.
So my question is, I guess a little bit lighter. So
Of course, it's always is. I'm always one come over there like, tell me about your childhood trauma, and then you come across be like, yo, man, what's your favorite color?
it's kind of close to that too.
All right, go ahead.
Now, so what hip hop song made you fall in love with hip hop?
Okay, so you basically ask me how old am I? Because that's essentially what you're doing. Because I'm gonna go back to like when I first really recall
I got you.
hip hop.
I got you. Because the way all right. So before because I was thinking, I was like, well, it could be like one of his first songs, or it could be a song he heard later on. Because you could like just enjoy hip hop, and then there was something like, ooh, bam, now I'm in love. Like this is the one. So,
Now, I remember it distinctly, and this is going to tie back to, if you've listened to previous episodes, this is going to tie back to something you've heard before also. There was a rap group called Run DMC, right?
True.
They had this album called Raising Hell. And I remember one Saturday being at my grandparents' house, and my uncle was doing, I don't know, he was trying to fix something. I think it might have been some electrical work or something like that. And I was, little kid, I'm following him around and helping him out. And I just remember on TV, Soul Train was on TV and Run DMC was performing. And I can't remember, it might have been Walk This Way they were performing from that album. And I remember just standing in front of the TV and just watching them like, why they ain't singing? This is weird. This is different. They're not singing. They rapping or they talking.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I was just intrigued, man. I was like, I remember constantly following him back and forth up into the attic, down the hall. But
Yeah.
like it came a point where we were passing the TV and that was on, and I just stood there, and he kept going and doing what he was doing, and I was just standing there like
Entranced.
what is this? What are they doing?
I never seen this before.
Why they ain't got no laces in their shoes? And from there, man, it was on. It was on after that, man. Like
That's dope.
everything. Like after that, it was, I want a boombox for Christmas. And I was getting blank tapes, making I was making pause tapes off the radio, which
Yeah.
I know if there's anybody listening to this that's like
He said, "What's a
who
pause
is
tape?"
like 25 or younger, is like, what is a pause tape? You had to be there. I'm not even gonna bother to explain it. Google it. But
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because it'd be too hard to explain what a cassette is. Cassette tape.
exactly, and we got to go through a whole explanation about how fast forward and rewind, and you couldn't put a song on repeat, and there were no MP3s and all that. We ain't doing it.
You gotta have the right cassette tape type and all that stuff. You got stuff tissue on top maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
Put a little scotch tape on top of your songs so they don't rub off.
so they don't rub off. That's right.
Yeah. So, but
Oh,
yeah,
cassette tray, baby.
that was when I fell in love with hip hop, and I'm pretty sure it was "Walk This Way" was the song that they were performing.
Okay.
And I don't know. I could probably go through. I could do a Google search and figure out what episode it was, what year it was. But I couldn't have been more than 7 or 8.
Okay. All right, bet. That was a good story, man. That was a good story. I appreciate that one.
Hey man, you had me pull it out for a minute, but I think about that day every now and then, man. And if you've listened to this episode, you also know that my mom broke my Run DMC record over her knee. So if you want to hear that story, you gotta go back. You could probably go check that out in the episode with my brother. I think I told it there too.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You did.
All right.
Yeah.
So
And it was a lot of heartbreak in your eyes at that moment too.
and let me follow up also, because my parents actually listened to the episode, and my mom was like, I didn't know that had that kind of impact. And like she didn't know that it was like
she
that.
did though.
I've never forgotten that. Like I said, I never forgot the time my mom broke my army man because both his legs bent in the same direction. She tried to make him go in opposite directions, and I'll never forget when she broke that record, Raising Hell, because we were fighting over it. But she was like, "Yo, you find it somewhere, let me know, and I'll buy you another copy." And I was like, "All right." Now, of course, I found it. I still ain't sent her the link because
It just it's all
it feels
good.
wrong.
It's all good, Mom.
I'm a parent now. I also understand. I'd have probably broke it too.
Yeah, we good, Mom. I understand. I'm there with you.
But if I get a square shaped flat gift for Christmas, I know exactly what it is before I open it.
Sure enough. Well, the question is, do you have the record player to play it on?
I do have a record player. As a matter of fact, 4th of July, my mother-in-law was here, and I had a bunch of records that I got from my grandparents' house. And like I got like old Four Tops, Aretha Franklin stuff.
Ooh,
like
dope. Okay.
And this stuff is old.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Motown
put
joint.
a nickel on the needle because that joint gonna skip all over the place.
Yeah, because it's gonna be rocky.
Wow, we are really skewing old right now. We're talking about record players and pause tape.
Hold on. So let's be clear. Like record players was before. Well, not really before our time. It was
No, record players before our time, Mike.
Yeah, it was in the transition. No, never mind.
Yeah, record players was like when we were probably in middle school. Cassettes, middle school.
Yeah. No,
CDs were high school.
Yeah, because I recall when I took my sister's Prince, When Doves Cry album to school.
Purple Rain.
Yeah, and I dropped it on the floor and broke it. I did not want to go home that day. Oh my goodness. We're not gonna talk about that right now, though.
No. No need to relive that trauma today. You've been through enough. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to a new segment where we answer your questions in our mailbag. All right, so Mike, you got the question for this week or this episode that was submitted to us. I don't know if we want to divulge the listener's name, but I'm gonna go ahead and let you take that.
Okay. Well, right now we're just gonna make it from anonymous because we don't know if the listener wants their name to be known.
Sounds good.
But this is the question that we have. So, how do you know if a woman is there for you or just what a man can provide? That is the question. Now, this is a relationship question for sure.
Right.
This is kind of taking us back.
Yeah.
taking you way back.
Taking me way back. I've been with my wife. Next month will be 24 years. We've been married 17, but a couple for 24. 1997.
Yeah, it's a long time, man. Y'all been together, so
Yeah.
it's been a while for you. But you got plenty of experience too.
Oh yeah. I've learned more about relationships after being in one for a long time also. So I could provide some input on this, and it is interesting. And immediately after seeing that question, something came in my mind about, how to determine not just, women and men and those type of relationships, but just whether it could be a friend relationship. When you want to know whether somebody's there for you because of who you are or what you provide, pay very close attention to when they call on you.
Ooh, good point.
Because someone who's there for who you are will call on you when there's not anything necessarily to be done, to experience other than you.
Yes.
When somebody cares about who you are and wants you for you, then you'll get a phone call. Hey, how you doing? No, I didn't want nothing. I just want to see how you were doing today. Mm-hmm. Or you get a text message saying, hey, what's going on? How you feeling today? Mm-hmm. You get that kind of interaction. When you got somebody who the only time that they call you is when they need money, when they want to go hang out, when they want to do something, and it's never, hey, what's going on? How are you? No concern about what your feelings are, what your thoughts are, what's going on in your life or in your mind, then that's somebody who only wants you for what it is that you have to offer. Financially, emotionally, physically, what have you.
Yeah.
When that time comes for contact, it's always to go and do or to go and have or to go and be. It's never just to see how are you doing? How's things going in your life? One of the things that I think that can sum this up, and I don't know who to attribute this quote to, but I've seen it online, and it basically says, "Stop hitting them up first, and watch y'all never speak again." Because there are certain people who are only in you, like you're forcing them to be in your life because you're constantly the first one to reach out. You're constantly the one who's always initiating the conversation, initiating what could happen. You know, let's go out, let's go do something. How are you doing? It's always a one-way street. If you're not the first person to initiate things, and that person is never coming back on the back end like, hey man, I ain't heard from you in a minute, how are you? Then that's another indication that that person is not there for you. They're there for what you can offer them, and they only have time when you ask their time. And then depending on what you ask, they may or may not have time for you.
That's dog, you just dropped some gems right there, dog. I hope you need to pick them up till they gonna be rich. Yeah, man. I was trying to put myself back in the mindset of like being a single guy who was trying to get to know someone, and I was thinking like, so at what point do you make the decision to say, okay, so is this person in it for me, or they in it for what I can provide them? And I almost believe that you can find that out in the very beginning before you even move forward. Just kind of have with the initial conversation. You just got to pay attention to what's being said and what's being done. And not to be so infatuated with the person and so caught up. I can't believe this person sitting down having a conversation with me. But you really be engaged in the conversation. Like turn off the physical part that you want to engage with, because that's why you really highlight the woman anyway, right? You want to engage with her physically. However, you need to make sure that this is a person that you really, really want to be with, because you don't know where it goes from there. You know, if anything physical happens, you don't know where it goes from there. Like you can be like, this is a one-shot deal for you. It may not be a one-shot deal for her, but if you don't know who that person is, you don't know that. So you got to make sure you're asking all good questions in the beginning. Like, I'm not gonna tell someone how to talk to a woman per se, but I'm gonna say like, asking a bunch of fluff questions is not helping your cause at all. You need to get past the fluff questions and get really to like, let me get to know this person. Like, who are you? Like, ask some real questions to people. Like, what did you do today to make yourself a better person today? Ask those type of questions, like, and not to throw them off, but because you really want to get to know who this person is. And if you listen to pay attention to the way they're responding to your questions that you asking, when you're prodding and plotting and trying to pull out what you need to know, it's going to help you. Because remember now, when you're dealing with someone, you want to make sure you're compatible with them as well. It's not just like you want this person, you doing whatever you can to get to this person. Like if you're in that situation, you putting yourself in that spot, you're already lost. Mm-hmm. And that's how you end up asking the question. You get to a point asking the question, well, is she in it for me, or is she in it for like what I can do for her? Like that's how you end up in that spot, because you're not paying attention in the beginning, and you're not searching for someone that you're actually compatible with. You're just searching for someone that you think looks good on your arm.
Right. Yeah, and man, look, if my thing is, if you ever get to the point in a relationship where you have to ask that question, chances are that person is not in the relationship for you, for who you are, for your interests, for caring about your well-being. They're there for whatever they can get, or whatever you can give them.
I was just gonna say that too, man. If you get to the point where you're asking this question, it's one of those questions you asking already knowing the answer, but you just hoping and wishing that somebody says something different. But nah, that's what it is. Like if you're asking that question, you already know the answer. Yes, you're being used. Yep. So what you gonna do about it?
And honestly, man, you make a very good point. You're talking about specifically the phrase being used, because I think sometimes we can put ourselves in positions to be used when we are doing so much to kind of, I guess, so to speak, earn that person's love, to fight for that person's love or that affection, but the same effort is not being given back. Sometimes you got to pull back. And that's my main thing, man. It's like, okay, if we're supposed to be meeting in the middle, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the same way that I'm coming to meet you is the way you come to meet me, because we all show love in different ways, right?
That's right.
But it's not necessarily what is actually done exactly, but the effort that's given.
That's right.
And when you can see that the person on the other side, their effort is not matching, and you're going above and beyond consistently to try to reach them, but that effort is not given back in return. And again, let me be clear, that effort that comes back in return does not necessarily have to be the same thing that you give out, but the effort needs to match.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? If
Yes.
just to make it abundantly clear, if I'm, giving money and that's my thing to give, and giving gifts, showing my love, then in return, if that person's making the effort to at least try to spend quality time with me, those two things are not the same. But the effort that you give in one needs to be the effort that they match you with what they're giving. Then that's how you come to the middle. But if you're constantly, regardless of what it is that you're giving and offering, going beyond halfway, and that person is not putting in the effort to meet you, then to me, that's abundantly clear that that person is not there for who you are, but what they can get from you. And then when they can't get it anymore, chances are they won't want to have anything to do with you.
Yep, 100%. It's very simple and plain. I made the point before, like, just think of yourself, you're a cup, and you're pouring yourself into this person. And the only question is, are they replenishing your cup? If your cup is not being replenished, then yes, you're being used. They're just drinking you up. Mm-hmm. Wherever your source of supply coming from, they just waiting for that source to refill you up, and they gonna drink that water again or drink from the cup, whatever it is, and then they are not replenishing it at all. So if your cup is not being replenished by the person that you're giving to, you're absolutely being used. I think you made a valid point too, man. Just like some practical things, like the person, are they really asking about you? Are they really in the conversation, really concerned about your day, what you got going on, how you feel, your plans, things of that nature? Mm-hmm. Or are they just simply trying to have this conversation so they can get to the point where they can ask for what they want to ask for?
Right. They're just putting in enough time so that they can cash out with whatever it is they want to get from you.
Yeah, because you got people who are professional users, so they know how to. It's like when you go to the strip club, right? And you sit down, and the stripper sit down and have a conversation with you, and she sit in your lap, and she put her arm around you, and she laughing and giggling, and she's saying all the right things to you. Like, imagine that. You feel so special. Surprise. She feels so special because she's saying all these great things to you. Then all of a sudden she's like, "You want to dance? All right, it'll be whatever the price is. I don't even know the price is now. You want to dance?" Like, all that time, because what she really doing was she sat there and started talking to you because the song that was playing was about to end, mm-hmm. and she needed her next victim. So she sat down and talked to you for the next minute and a half, because she about to say, do you need to dance, because the next song's about to start. Because after that song go off, she gonna collect her cash and go. Yep. But however, up until that point where she asked for her money, that conversation she had with you made you feel super special. And you got people out there who are professional users. They know how to talk to you super special. But then they always at the end ask for something. Like, always, that's why I say, man, pay attention. Pay attention. Not just be all caught up in the moment, like, oh wow, this person talked to me. No, listen to the conversation. Pay attention to what's happening and see how repetitive that is, because that's something that happens all the time. Yes, you got your answer. You know what they're doing to you, because anytime you pick the phone up, you already know what the outcome is going to be, or they about to ask for something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the biggest the point that I can summarize everything you just said is that love is not necessarily transactional.
Yes,
it is not transactional. You don't put in, you don't put in your formula, you don't put in your code, and then cash out on it. You do it without the expectation of any type of return, and then when you do get that return, it feels that much better. But if you can't do it without the understanding and expectation that once it's done, and it's out there and it's gone, and you don't sit there with your hand out or your mouth open waiting for something else to fall back in as a result of what you put out, then you understand, okay, yeah, this is genuine, this is real. But if it's always somebody just basically appearing to butter you up, put it in the code, spend just enough time so they can make you feel as though they got you, you have their attention and their respect, just to try to cash out on the back end, that ain't it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So I got like 2 more points, and then I'm good with this, right? So number 1, women are not the only person with that instinct of knowing something's not right. we have it as well. So if you get that gut feeling, sir, and it's saying, man, something ain't right, something's not right. So that's number one. Trust that instinct. When you get that instinct, you got to do number two. And number two is what's going, it separates the men from the boys. You got to go talk about it. You feel a certain way, you got to go say, hey, man, this is how I'm feeling, and this is why I feel this way. Help me get past this. If that person can't help you get past that, you already know they're trying to use you. They're trying to use you. But if they take the time to help you get past that, like let's really work through this, so you don't feel like you're being used by me. Okay, now you got somebody that really cares about you. But the person who's not trying to help you get past that, somebody that they're real shallow, they're not gonna put the time and energy into it because, man, that's too much work. That's too much work.
And that working past it and getting past it is not just lip service. It can only be truly displayed by change of behavior.
Yes, absolutely.
You can't just say, hey, I'm feeling this way. This is what's on my mind. This is what I'm thinking. And the person be like, oh, nah, it ain't that. You know, you tripping. And then you just be like, okay. Nah.
They ain't how that work.
Something about the behavior that has gotten you to the point that you feel that way has to change, or you have to change your expectation of what's coming from that person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which brings me back to what I said when we first started. Stop hitting them up first and watch y'all never speak again. It's bound to happen. It's bound to happen. That lets you know that person, they didn't have the same feeling for you that you have for them, if that's the case.
That's the case.
Because, no, this reminds, I know you won't move to the next thing, but this reminds me of something else.
We good. We good.
Yeah. So it's, dang, now see, you made me lose it, man.
Oh, my bad, dog.
I had it.
It's coming back.
It's going to come back to me, and it'll probably come back to me when we're further down the road. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and move, and I'm going to just interject whenever it comes back to my head.
All right, that works for me.
Yeah.
That works for me.
All right. So there was a second part, like a follow-up.
Okay, you want to do that too?
Yeah,
okay.
to the question. So
all right, so follow-up. Women test men all the time. So should we as men test women on this topic, or are there any red flags to look for?
Okay, so I kind of got beef with this question straight up as is proposed, because the question assumes that all women or women in overwhelming majority play games. I would venture to say both women and men play games at similar rates. So I'm not going to make a generalization about all women or women testing men all the time and acting as if men are just completely innocent and just playing,
Yeah.
back and forth. But
Yeah.
I'll say this. In summation, no. That question, look, man, I do not advocate for anybody playing games.
Boom.
Look,
Boom. Boom.
no games.
Boom.
Don't play. Be honest, be open, be real, be truthful. And then when you get your answer, understand whether it's the answer you want or not, that is the answer that you've received, and make your next move. And your next move should be, if it's not what you were expecting, to move on, because you can't change anybody. And playing a game is going to make you feel good temporarily, but ultimately all you're going to do is get in a vicious cycle of playing games back and forth with each other.
Yep.
And is that what you want? You want an endless cycle of playing games for the rest of your life with this person? Now, if you're in a situation where you're looking for something real and you're looking for something genuine, you want something long lasting, then playing a game is not the way you get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like you were saying before, like if you got a problem, talk to the person. And if that person is willing to hear you out and willing to see your side of things, then you all can build from that. But if you got a problem and your response is to play a game to see what happens, or play a game to make them respond in a certain way, then that's going to be the behavior that you're going to have to maintain in order to maintain that relationship.
Yep.
And once that other person figures out that it's a game, they either going to, one, play a game with you, or probably a more likely situation, understand that it is not a situation they need to be in, and then leave because they don't want to play games.
That's right.
And ultimately, you're not going to get what you want playing games. You're not.
Never.
Especially if what you want is something long-term and real.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you want the truth, you're not going to get it playing games. You got to be real. Like, like the way you deal with this is not how you deal with it if you were a boy. Like, a man doesn't have time for games. And you have to realize, like, if you're going to play games with someone, you are now establishing a standard and a protocol. This is how they're going to be dealing with you every time they see you. They're going to play games with you. So if you set the standard, like, I don't play games like that. Mm-hmm. And just say it once, like, I don't do that. I don't respect that. That's not what I'm into. I appreciate you not treat me that way, and be done with it. If they come back and they do it again, all right. So now now the ball is in your court. Now what are you going to do, sir? Because now this is the second time they violated. You already told me you don't do that. So what are you going to do? You can either talk about it, or you can move on. Now remember, we're not talking about like playing games and having fun. We're talking about establishing something long term for your life. And this person doesn't respect you early in the relationship. How you anticipate them to respect you later on in the relationship? It's not going to happen. So if you say something, you got to mean it. So if you're not going to play games, don't play them. And if you're tired of them playing games, walk away from it. Don't go back and forth with them, trying to get them to change. You know what you're doing when you're doing that? You're playing games.
Right.
And that's not what you want to do.
And this all reminds me what Dante Nero talks about with ACE: authenticity, credibility, and empathy. It's like, say what you mean what you say, and be understanding that not everybody's going to be on the level that you may expect them to be, and deal with them accordingly.
Yeah, deal with them accordingly.
Absolutely. If you come into the relationship and say, hey, I don't eat mashed potatoes at dinner, so don't fix that for me. And then when they turn around and fix you mashed potatoes for dinner, if you sit there and eat that, then your credibility, your word is shot, because you've already established that you don't do this, and then you're presented with something that you made clear that you don't do. If you don't stand by that, if you can't be credible, if you can't stand by what it is that you said, then they're not going to respect you.
Exactly.
And
so
you don't back off your word for whatever your non-negotiable is, just to make somebody else feel better, to play the game, to get along, and hopefully everything will work out. Because what they're going to see is that, oh, well, he said this, but then he did that.
Yep. I see it. Yeah, your respect and trust is gained in your consistency. So
right.
What you say and what you do has to be consistent. You can't just be saying, I don't deal with that. You can't treat me that way. Mm-hmm. And then they go do it, and then you be like, I'm so upset with you. Why you do me that way? I don't do this. I don't do this. I don't do this. But you're still there. Like, yep. Obviously you do this because you're still here.
You got to be able to stand on what it is that you said and walk away.
Yeah, like you have to be willing to take that loss. And if you're not willing to take that loss, only thing you're gonna do is get used and played.
Yep. Basically. Yeah, and the other part of that question was talking about are there red flags to look for? I mean, you asking somebody, like I said, 24 years ago is the last time I was in the game like that.
Well, I think this is more of like a personal thing for you, right? Because everybody communicates differently. Everybody likes to deal with their mate in a different way. I really think the red flags are, once again, that gut feeling, like, is this person playing with me? Like, if you're asking somebody, like, why are you playing? Mm-hmm. They're playing with you, right? Until they clear up, like, what they're doing or what they're saying, until you get a clarification on that, you just assume you're being played with. So those are the red flags to look for, just to pay attention to your gut. If you feel like something's not right, something's not right. So it's up to you to determine, are you going to do something about it? And you doing something about it, saying something. Now, that's not very easy for most men to do. I'm just gonna be honest about that. Saying
Right.
something about how you feel, being genuinely honest about how you feel to your mate. It's not always the most easiest thing for a man to do. We can easily communicate to him that we angry or happy, or we in the mood. Like, we can easily communicate those things.
Right.
We want you got to know I'm upset right now. But if you bothered by something, or you feel a little nervous or scared, or you
worried.
feeling like, or worried, like, you should be able to share that with your partner. And if you can't talk about it with your partner, you got some self work to do, and maybe you shouldn't be in a relationship with someone until you get yourself built up to where you can stand on your own, emotionally.
Yeah, if you can't figure out what you like, what you don't like, and who you are, then you're probably not ready to be in a relationship. Because you got to establish what you are or who you are first before you can explain it to anybody else.
100%.
Yeah. And what I was trying to remember from what I was talking about before is that the best apology is change behavior.
Oh, absolutely. That's it.
So
that's it. Yeah, you can say you sorry all you want. So what you gonna do about it?
exactly.
Gonna do about it.
All right, man. That was a in-depth conversation on that question.
Oh, that's stuff we like talking about.
Hey, absolutely. So anybody else who's interested in submitting a question to us, y'all can go ahead and shoot us an email at questions@bodspeaks.com. We'll let us know whether you want to actually leave your name or include your name if we read your question on the podcast, and we'd be glad to answer it for you. So let us know what's on your mind, and hopefully we can break it down and get you an answer. It may not be what you're looking for, but it will absolutely be real.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so hit us up, questions@bodspeaks.com. We'll answer what you have. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next segment known as The Message. All right, so Mike, you wanted to bring the message today. So, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let you do your thing. I'm going to give you your little background music so you can go ahead and give us that good word today. So it's on you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we sit here for this discourse, let us all take a moment of brevity and say, manhood fundamentals are a must in your life. And what I want to do with this segment, now I'm just messing around. So what I want to do with this segment, man, what I want to do with this segment, for the next few episodes, I want us to revisit some of the fundamental principles of manhood that we talked about in our book, The Makers of a Man. I've had some people at work just come talk to me about some general manhood questions in general, and a lot of my answers I found were going back to our fundamentals of what it is to be a man, answering their questions, and they found it very enlightening when I was talking about it. So when I came there, I was like, man, I think there's a void out there. Maybe we need to go back and revisit some of the stuff that we did. We wrote that book well over 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
About 10 years ago. Yeah.
Actually, today, the date of this recording, August 24th, 2021, we've formally been an organization for 11 years.
Bam. So this is a perfect day to do this. All right. So
Absolutely.
we want to revisit our 6 weights of manhood. I think they are vital to everyone who's out there who's searching to be a man. Some of these apply to women in certain ways because they are just about human personal growth and development in general. But these are the things that you definitely need to have as a man if you want to go out here and make an impact on the world. Not just for yourself, but for those who are around you, right? So the first one I wanted to talk about was visionary. I think visionary is one of the more important weights, but we often mask it and hide it behind the other weights because we think about the ones that people think about the most, like being a provider, like being a provider. That's the manhood stuff. Being a protector, like those things about manhood. But talking about being a visionary, you can't really see the importance of it until we really start breaking it down, because you have to understand, as a man, you should be defining your course in life. You define your course in life by your vision. If you don't have a vision, someone else is deciding your course in life, and they're deciding what your manhood looks like. They're deciding your value. They're deciding what you're doing next, because you don't have a vision. You don't know where you're going. So obviously somebody else who has a big, better plan, they gonna say, you don't have a plan? I got one for you.
Come be a part of mine.
Come be a part of mine. So that's why it's very important to have a vision, not necessarily for the material things that you have in life, but for the personal man you are. Because the things we're gonna talk about during the segment, they have nothing to do with material things.
Right.
Your material things doesn't define you as a man or your manhood, because there weren't any material things when people were first born. That's not how the earth was. It wasn't things like that. It was just your manhood and what you were able to do as a person, as a being yourself. So when we talk about visionary, what is it? What is it? Like I said, it's placing value on yourself right now for something that you haven't yet to acquire. That's how I look at it. You know, again, it's putting value on your life now for something you have yet to acquire. What does that mean, Michael? So 10 years from now, I had a plan. I want to be a CEO of a company. That's my plan. So what I'm doing now, I'm carrying myself right now as if I am the CEO of a company. I don't wait till I become the CEO to act that way. I'm the CEO now because that is my plan. And then as I'm trying to acquire that CEO, I start doing little things in between to do those things. I study, I get my degree, whatever it is in the company that you're trying to grow in. You're doing all the things necessary to become that CEO because you got a plan. 10 years from now, this is what you want to accomplish. So that's what a visionary is about. I'm sorry, I got something right here. So that's what being visionary is about. Again, is putting value on yourself now to what yet you have acquired, but you're in the process of acquiring it. So when you're painting your picture of yourself, how do you see yourself? And this is a real question I want you to answer. Like, what is your vision? Pause, stop. And don't say the first thing that come to mind. Or if you do say the first thing that come to mind, pause, stop, and ask yourself, is this my dream or is this somebody else's dream? Is this something someone placed in me or is this something I came up with on my own? If it's something someone placed in you, then you need to go back and reevaluate what you're trying to accomplish. Right. Because your vision guides your path. It becomes your compass. It takes you where you want to go. But if you don't have a vision, you're going nowhere. And somebody else is going to lead the way for you. Yeah. I know you want to chime in, but keep going. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think one of the things, the most striking visual representation of being adrift in this world without a vision is an experience that I remember waiting on the bus when I was like, middle school, high school back in the day. We grew up in somewhat of a rural area, and our bus stop was basically on a major highway. Mm-hmm. So, in the morning time, people will throw, throughout the days, whenever they're traveling, they throw trash out on the side of the road. And occasionally there would be like a plastic shopping bag that was on the side of the road. And, it's like 6:30 in the morning and these Mack trucks are coming down the road and they're creating all kind of wind as they pass by. And you would see this plastic bag sitting there and a truck would come from the left. And after it passes, the breeze that it creates would lift that bag up and the bag would move to the left into the trail that the truck just left. And then it'll fall back down to the ground. And then, a truck will come from the right and it'll cut through there doing, 55 miles an hour. And the breeze in its wake would lift that bag up and that bag would move in the direction that truck just left to the right. And that's basically us when we don't have our own vision in our lives. Whatever comes along that's moving by and looks like it might be interesting, we kind of get up and move with it. That truck that comes by and goes to the left, it's, playing a sport. So we'll pick that up. Everybody's moving in that direction. I'll lift up and I'll follow that. And as it moves, I don't quite have the same momentum and I just kind of drop off. Mm-hmm. And then that truck goes on to the right and that's being a musician. And I kind of lift up and I follow that, but it moves fast and I don't have the same momentum and I kind of fall down and it keeps on going without me. And then all of those things that are going by and passing by and lifting you up and you're following, they're nothing that you have actually planned and want for yourself. It's just what's going on around you because you are rudderless. You're without your own plan, your own vision. So you're following whatever it is that comes along, and you're kind of picking up these things, but you don't have the momentum that it takes to go where they're going because you yourself did not have that plan for yourself. You don't have the endurance for it because it's not the visions you have for yourself. You're following whatever comes along, whatever's hot in the streets. You're moving with that, but because it's not in your heart, you can't endure to go where it's going. So you kind of you have to have that vision so that when you lift up and it's time to go, you can go the distance. You can travel where it needs to go to see it through to the end because you've got that plan, you've got that strategy, you've got the mindset that it takes to go where it is that you're trying to get to because you're building your foundation on that plan. And I think if people really stopped and thought about it, having that vision for your life, that foundation is as simple as things we learned in our elementary or middle school, maybe even high school English classes. It's this interrogative questions. It's the who, what, when, where, why, and how. You know, who is ourselves? We are the ones who need to have the vision. That's the easiest question to answer. The who is you. You're the one that actually has to do this. You have to execute it. The what is it that you want? Where do you see yourself? Where do you want to go? What is the vision that you want to actually obtain? When you were using an example for the CEO, that is the goal. That's the pinnacle of the vision. So after you've got that, you know you're the one that has to do it, and you have that goal in mind. When do you want to do it? You have to have some sort of timeline on that goal. You know, there's 7 days of the week, but none of them are called someday. All right. So you can't just be like, well, someday I'm going to be the CEO. Nah. When are you going to do it? You use the example 10 years. That's a definitive timeline because after 10 years have passed, you should be able to measure whether you did or did not achieve that thing that you originally set out to do.
Absolutely.
Your why is your motivation. What's going to push you in those days when it gets hard, because it will get hard, when it's challenging, when you are actually trying to struggle your way through and you question whether you should keep going or not. What is motivating you to keep going? And if we say that money is our motivation, then I ask the question, how much money is enough? And the answer is very unsatisfactory because the answer is always more. Always more. So you've got to tie that vision, that motivation to something that is going to actually have the potential to be satisfied. You know, I want to be a good example for my children. I want to live up to the expectations of my family so that they can depend on me. You've got to be able to define that motivation by something that you can always go back and tap into. Because if your motivation is I want to get $1 million, then what's going to happen when you get $1 million? You're going to want $1 million more. That motivation has to be something that can satisfy and sustain you, because otherwise it is going to dry up. It is not going to be sufficient to carry you throughout your journey when things get hard. You have to ask the question also, how? You know, for certain things that you're doing, man, your steps can be 5 steps or it could be 5,000 steps. You know, if you are a high school student and you're in the 10th grade right now and you want to become a professional football player, you know, we could break that thing down really simple. Like, I need to make the varsity team at my school. I need to go to a major D1 college, and I need to be on, you know, somebody's campus where I'm on TV at least every other Saturday so that I can get the looks, so that somebody would be interested in drafting me into the NFL. But if you really want to get microscopic about it, break it down to say, okay, I need to make sure I have the grades so that I can be eligible to get into this major D1 school, because my athletic ability by itself won't cut it. Mm-hmm. I need to make sure that I'm in constant conversation with my coaches and asking them to advocate on my behalf, because I need the relationships that's going to get me into that D1 college. Mm-hmm. I need to have good fortune. You know, if you want to look at it as fortune, or if you want to look at it as being blessed, I need to be injury free. So how am I training my body so that I can bend and I can be malleable to the situations where I'm placing my life at risk, basically playing this sport, so that I'm available to shine, so that I get the looks that I need to get to that level. You can break it down into, you know, the chunks, or you can dice it and down, get really specific. But those steps, nobody can define that other than you. Now, when you put all of that together, You have yourself being the center as a person who has to execute all of this, your what being the ultimate goal, your when with a definable time frame that's tangible, your why being your motivation, and your how being the steps. Then you should be able to say at the end of all of that, on X day or X time, I'm going to have this, whatever the goal is, because whatever your motivation is, and this is how you're going to do it with the steps listed in your how. Because ultimately, if you want to be a visionary and you want to make this thing happen, you've got to have a solid plan that you step out on. And even if you have all of those components, things will still go wrong.
100%.
You still fall short.
Every time.
It will not work out how you originally planned. But all of that goes back to your why. If your motivation is strong enough, you will find a way to keep growing, keep going. Freudian slip when I say growing, but it applies in situation also. You still got to grow and you still got to go.
Same thing.
But
Sure
when you got that motivation, when you got that why, when that truck passes by, you will not move, because that is somebody else's vision that is passing through your life. Because you have a plan, you are planted, and you are firm in what it is that you are setting out to do. You will be on your own path and cannot be easily swayed by the other things that come through in your life.
Talk to him, brother. Talk to him. You don't look sleepy anymore, player. You fully awake now. But yeah, so just to piggyback off that, man. When you're going through your journey, it's not going to look the same as someone else who has a similar vision to yours.
Absolutely.
You both may want to go do the same thing, but their life circumstances, their perspective, the things they experience are going to be completely different than yours. So what do you do when you're on your journey? Don't look right or look left to see what no one else is doing. You stay focused on what you're doing and what you got, because their payoff at the end is going to be different than your payoff at the end. Their goal may be a little bit different than yours. It may be very similar, but what they want to accomplish may be very different. And of course, like your life experiences and where you come from, all those things play a part into your experience and your journey. So just embrace the journey and grow through it, man. Have fun and enjoy that thing when you're going through what you're going through. So you were making a point talking about the bag swaying back and forth and where you go. Mm-hmm. But I also want to add to that is that you don't have to see your vision to know that you're going to get there. And this example I got in my head I came up with, right? So we're talking about being a visionary, because being a visionary is not really based on what you know for a fact. It's based on you believing in yourself and then putting the work in to accomplish it, because you're moving on faith.
Absolutely.
Right? That's what you're moving on, faith. So my example is this. If I'm at your house, we both know I can't see. So people who are listening, and if you're watching on YouTube now, you see I wear glasses. Now, these are not for play. These are not fake. But I take my glasses off, I can't see. Like for real, I can't see.
Like not Gerard, even 3 feet in front of you.
And Gerard would tell you, I take my glasses off, it's a wrap, dog. Like I'm only like a few points off my eyes being cross-eyed and I take my glasses off. My vision is bad. It's bad. But this is the point I want to make. So I'm at Gerard's house. I don't have my glasses on, and I need to get home. My vision is arriving home. I can't see. So how do I get there? And Gerard's taking me on the journey. I can give him directions. Turn right here. Turn right here. Turn right here. Because I know where I'm going, so I know how to get there. So I don't need to see my home to get there. I just got to know how I get there. And that's how your vision works. If you put the plan in place and you know what it takes to get there, you don't need to see it. You don't need to be like, oh man, I wonder when I'm gonna get there. You don't need to see it. You don't need to know when you're gonna get there. You got a plan in place. You got a time frame in place to get there, but you know how to get there. You know the steps involved to get to it. So if you do the steps, you take that journey, you're gonna get there. Now you can get there faster if you work harder, if you run faster, do those things, or you can take your time and get there. But either way, you got to that destination, not because you saw where it's at, because you knew how to get there. You had a plan in place saying, this is where I want to go. Let me GPS it real quick. What that look like? Oh, that's the route? Hey man, I don't have no car. I can walk it.
Right.
I can walk it. Or I can jog it. Or I can borrow somebody's vehicle. Like however you want to get there.
Bike it.
To that. You can bike it. You can bike it. Yeah, all of them, right? But the thing is, like, you can get there without having to physically see it in your possession. Because your vision is not about what you see. Your vision is about what you believe in yourself. And it goes all the way back to what Gerard was talking about, those questions, man. It's those who, what, when, how, and where.
Yep.
Those questions matter. And if you can't define those questions, your vision is going to be poor. Not your eyesight. The vision is going to be poor. And when that truck passes by, when you thought you were sturdy and stable, you're going to be like, man, they look really good doing what they do. And there you go floating.
Right on by.
Floating. There you go floating. And then what you're going to do while you're floating, you're going to be like, man, if I had stayed with what I was doing, look how much further ahead I would be. Because now you done took 2 or 3 years off your life chasing something that wasn't for you, chasing somebody else's dream. And they got to come back to yours and restart it.
Right. Your analogy with getting home without your glasses, it reminded me of John Maxwell. He talked about basically, if you were in a car and it was nighttime and you needed to get from where you were to your house, even if the road was a straight line, you turned those headlights on, in overwhelming majority situations, those headlights will not reach all the way to your home. But what they will show you is a little bit of the road at a time.
That's right.
And the only way for you to see more of that road is to put that car in drive and begin to move it forward. And as you see more of the road, you see further down the line on your journey. And eventually those headlights, because you know your way home, you know the path that you are set out to go on, those headlights will arrive at your front door. Now, from where you started at, you could not see your front door. And again, even if it was a straight line, in this metaphor, that straight line is your plan goes perfectly with no glitches, no flaws. It will not be a straight line. Please believe, you don't get nothing else out of this. It will not be a straight line.
Absolutely not.
But even if it was a straight line, it would not show you the entire path. You would not be able to see all the way from where you started to where you want to end up. But you have to begin to take those steps forward. You got to move a little bit to see a little bit more. And when you ultimately get there, it wasn't because you had that picture in your mind all along and you knew exactly what it looked like. You knew enough to begin to take those steps. And as you took them, you saw a little bit more. And as you gained the knowledge, as you gained the experience, you continue to move forward and ultimately arrive where it is that you set out to go in the first place. Not because you saw it all, but because you had the strength and the courage and the faith to take those first steps to make it happen. And another thing as well, when you talked about your example, is that, you can work hard, make it happen faster. You can learn from the experience that you're going through and build upon that to work stronger. But you can absolutely do more with the guidance of someone than you can go about on your own. If you're willing to go on the journey of your vision and have somebody who can mentor you, who can guide you, can put you in the direction that you need to go in, who's, possibly been down the path itself before, then that puts you in a better position to ultimately reach that vision. Sometimes, you're going to need to rely on your motivation, your why to keep you going. But sometimes that motivation pushing you is good, but you occasionally will need a mentor or a guide who's going to pull you along the way as well. That's right. And if you're being pushed and pulled in the direction in which you need to go, that is going to help you continue on that path and execute that vision to ultimately end up where you need to be.
Yeah, 100%, man. And remember, when you setting this vision up, it's going to be scary. It's going to be some fear there. It's going to be some trepidation. Like, I don't know. It seems like a really, really big vision, really big goal when you think about it. But it's the thing, everything begins that way.
Yep.
There's always a little bit of fear, like some uncertainty, because you don't know. You really don't know. But you got to have the faith in yourself, not in the vision, but in the person. And the way you develop that faith is what Gerard told you. Write a plan down. Make it concrete. Give yourself something to look at and say, okay, yeah, this is my motivation. Because your motivation is going to help you overcome any kind of fear, any kind of obstacle that you run into on this journey. Because sometimes something's going to happen that's going to really scare you. It's going to have to. Because if your vision is big enough, one, you can't do it by yourself.
Right.
And two, you're gonna run into some issues accomplishing that goal. But if you believe yourself enough, if that why, if you're sticking with that why, and you've overcome some small things, that big huge thing that you run into, you can be like, psh, I done ran into issues before. I can deal with this. How did I deal with my last issues? And you're gonna take them same strategies, those same experiences, all those things that you learned from before, you're just gonna apply it to the bigger one. And what you're gonna find out is like, oh, I solved this one too. Now you can move on to the next. So there is some fear that's gonna be there. It's gonna be scary. Yes, it's gonna be there. We did as well. When we sat down at them tables, we was talking about what we gonna do. And y'all talking about writing a book, and I was like, man, dog, I can't write no book, dog. I can't write no book. And y'all convinced me to do it. And I'm telling you, sitting down in front of a blank piece of paper with nobody giving you a prompt saying, write on this topic.
Bro, that's a scary thing.
It just
I like the writing is scary.
It's just a blank piece of paper, and you know somebody else is depending on you to put some words on the paper that they can use. That's pressure. That's scary. But you know what? Our why was big enough for us to overcome that and do it anyway.
Absolutely.
And we didn't know what we was doing. But because we decided we was going to get it done, we figured out along the way as we went. It's like you talk about those car lights. What was in front of us is what was in front of us. We dealt with what was in front of us and just kept pushing forward. Next thing you know, we went from writing books to doing radio to speaking in front of crowds. We went from speaking in front of a small Sunday school class to speaking to an after-school program to speaking in the auditoriums. Thousands of people at once.
Yep.
But it all started with us saying, you know what? Let's do something about this issue that we found. Let's write. And looking at the blank piece of paper, saying, I don't know what I'm going to put down here, but I trust myself enough to start writing.
Take the steps, man. Just take the steps.
That's it. Have the vision, take the steps.
Yep. After all your planning, execute. Follow through.
That's it. You can have the most beautiful plans well written out. If you ain't doing nothing with it, you might as well just hang it up on the wall. It's decoration.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen because you got to do the work.
No idea will work if you don't.
That's right.
Oh, man. Okay. So I'm fired up now. You expect me to go to sleep after this.
Yeah. So, all right. So if anyone's brave enough, if you hear this part and you have a vision, drop it in the comments. Let's see what your vision is.
Absolutely.
Because that's what I want you to take away from this when you walk away. Not just listen to, man, that's good stuff. No. Stop and pause and ask yourself, what is my vision? Like, what do I want to accomplish in life? Like, really actually write it down and put it someplace where you can pull it out and recall it. Because that's going to take you where you want to go. I had somebody ask me, how did you discover your purpose in life? That's how you discover your purpose in life. You find out what your why is, what really motivates you. Mm-hmm. And then you branch out from there and you move forward from there. We can get into some more deep discussion about discovering your purpose, but I just I just want to say, like, that's where you go. You start with your vision. Like, who are you? Where you want to go? What you want to accomplish in life? You got to be able to see those things clearly. If you're not seeing those things clearly, man, you're gonna be paperback flailing in the wind.
And don't need to be that. Can't nobody depend on the paper bag because it'll go in any direction that the wind blow.
Yep. Don't be the paper bag, dog.
All right, man. That was that got a little deep there for a minute, but I think we know how to swim, so.
Sure enough, backstroking all that.
Oh, man. Yeah, man. We absolutely thank y'all for listening. Once again, we are the board of directors. Make sure you check us out online at bodspeaks.com. You can find us on social media. The only three that matter are Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And on all three, you can find us at The True Board. And until next time.
Peace.